The rarest men walk alone, not because they must, but because the crowd is too loud to hear themselves think. Now pause. Let that settle in your bones for a second. Because what we're about to uncover isn't for the loud, the needy, or the endlessly scrolling masses who need constant attention just to feel alive. This is about the men who vanish to evolve, not to escape. The ones who don't need the room to notice them to own it. The ones who don't post motivational quotes because they live them in silence. And here's the wild part. According to studies in personality psychology, less than 1% of men fit the behavioral profile of a true Sigma male. They're not introverts. They're not alpha. They're off-grid thinkers running on a frequency most people can't even detect. And what they like? Let's just say, it's not your average, I love long walks on the beach and deep conversations, dating profile fluff. We're talking about things so unusual, so mentally rogue and spiritually unbothered, that it'll either make you rethink your entire social identity or start questioning why everyone else is addicted to noise, followers, and fake status. Oh, and spoiler alert, no, they don't like brunch or your motivational Instagram reel. Let's dive in, but don't expect comfort, because the things Sigma males like aren't made for the herd. Number 1. Watching people reveal themselves without prompting. Sigma males have a strange talent most people miss. They can sit in silence, say almost nothing, and still walk away knowing everything about you. They don't interrogate, they don't interrupt. They simply watch, and that alone makes people start talking way more than they should. It's not that they're quiet out of shyness, it's intentional. They know that silence makes people uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, people expose their insecurities, exaggerations, secrets, even lies, without realizing it. Most people rush to fill the silence because they're addicted to being heard, validated, or liked. Sigma males don't care about any of that. They'll sit through the awkward pause like it's a luxury. They understand that when they say less, people start revealing more, voluntarily. It's a strange psychological effect. When someone doesn't react, others feel pressure to explain themselves. They clarify, overshare, or try to win approval. And every extra word is a piece of data the Sigma stores like a mental file. It's almost unfair how good they are at this. While someone thinks they're making a great impression, the Sigma is decoding every motive, insecurity, and contradiction hiding in their tone or choice of words. They're not looking at what you say, but why you said it, how fast you said it, what you avoided, and where you stumbled. They catch the gaps, the inconsistencies, the sudden change in your voice when you're trying to impress them or hide something. That's why Sigma males rarely ask direct questions. They let people hang themselves with their own rope. The more someone talks, the more visible their mask becomes. And Sigmas, they collect masks. They don't expose people openly, but internally, they're already categorizing who's real, who's fake, who's trying too hard, and who's a threat. All from a single conversation where they barely said a word. To most, this seems cold or antisocial, but to Sigmas, it's just how they survive in a world full of noise. Let everyone else perform, overshare, or chase attention. The Sigma male sits back, listens to the unraveling, and leaves with a clear blueprint of the people around him, while revealing almost nothing about himself. Number 2, being a nobody on purpose. Sigma males don't just tolerate being underestimated, they engineer it. While most people are busy screaming for attention, building brands, or stacking followers to feel relevant, Sigma males do the opposite. They disappear in plain sight. They act average, speak simply, and give off nothing flashy. Why? Because they know that real power isn't loud, it's the quiet ability to move freely, observe everything, and be ignored by those too shallow to recognize depth without decoration. They're not trying to prove anything. That's the trap everyone else falls into. When you're busy trying to be somebody, you're handing over control, your image, your worth, your moves, all up for public validation. Sigmas don't play that game. Instead, they walk through life like a blank file. No need to perform, no interest in impressing, and no desire to be the loudest voice in the room. Being seen as just another guy is a weapon to them. It lowers people's guard. It makes enemies overlook them. It keeps nosy people guessing. While everyone else is flexing their status or inflating their value, The Sigma is quietly building leverage behind the scenes. Relationships, skills, options, escape routes. No spotlight, no pressure. Just moves that don't need announcements. This isn't about insecurity, it's strategy. When you're invisible to the ego-hungry masses, you're free. Free from judgment, comparison, expectation. You can pivot faster, take risks silently, and strike when no one saw it coming. It's chess while others are playing charades. The average person fears being a nobody. Sigma males choose it because when you're not constantly trying to matter in everyone's eyes, you finally start mattering in ways that actually count. Quiet wealth, quiet influence, quiet control. And the best part, by the time anyone realizes how valuable you are, it's already too late for them to catch up. That's not weakness, that's design. Number 3, the sound of nothing. Sigma males don't just enjoy silence, they seek out the complete absence of noise like it's sacred ground. This isn't the kind of silence where you still hear birds chirping or soft music in the background. No, it's the kind of silence that makes other people twitch. The kind that feels heavy, like it's pressing against your skull. Most people run from it because it forces them to hear the one voice they can't drown out, their own. Sigma males lean into that discomfort, they thrive in it. While others need constant input, music blasting in the car, a podcast during every walk, the TV running just for background noise, Sigmas cut it all off. They don't want to be filled with other people's thoughts 24/7. They want space, real mental space to let their own thoughts grow. In a world obsessed with consuming content, Sigma males are quietly building original ideas in the quietest corners of their mind. And it's in that pure silence that they do their best thinking, not brainstorming with coffee shop jazz in the background, not scrolling for inspiration, just sitting in dead silence, letting their mind unfold without interruption. It's where they connect dots most people never even see. It's where plans are born, identities are stripped down, and motives are sharpened like blades. This silence isn't passive, it's a tool. When a Sigma male sits in total stillness, he's not wasting time. He's calculating, decompressing, and rebooting his system, while the world burns itself out trying to stay distracted. The longer he stays in that state, the clearer things become. People, systems, lies, paths forward. And the truth is, most people couldn't last 10 minutes in that kind of environment. The silence would crush them, reveal too much, make them realize how shallow their thoughts really are without someone else's voice guiding them. Sigma males love that contrast, because in a noisy world, silence becomes their competitive advantage. No affirmations, no playlists, no fake productivity, just nothing. And from that nothing, they build everything. Number 4, learning niche skills that have no clear use yet. Sigma males are obsessed with learning things that make people ask, why would you ever need that? That's exactly why they do it. While the average person only learns something if there's a paycheck, a certificate, or social validation attached, Sigma males chase obscure knowledge like treasure hunters, quietly, obsessively, and without explaining why. To them, utility is secondary. Preparation, independence, and mental versatility. That's the real prize. They'll learn lockpicking not to break into places but to understand how systems fail. They'll practice cold reading to read people like open books, not to manipulate, but to never be blindsided. They'll dig into dying languages, off-grid living, obscure martial arts, or cryptography, not to show off, but to quietly stockpile an arsenal of mental tools others don't even know exist. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Sigma males know that the world doesn't stay stable for long. Systems collapse, industries change, rules shift. And in those moments, the useless skills they've banked suddenly become life-changing leverage. While everyone else is panicking, they're already 10 moves ahead because they prepared when no one else thought it was necessary. And it's not just about survival, it's about freedom. When you're a Sigma, you don't want to depend on anyone. So you learn to fix things, build things, navigate things, even if it seems random. A new skill, no matter how niche or weird, is a new layer of independence. It's another way to say, I don't need you. They're the kind of men who quietly teach themselves how to fly drones, decode body language, repair their own tech, brew their own medicine, or build a side hustle in a skill they've never talked about. And when life throws a curveball, they don't scramble, they activate. Most people are playing checkers, only looking at what's useful today. Sigma males are playing 4D chess with tools they've been secretly collecting for years. And when the time comes, those forgotten skills become the ace up their sleeve, the exact thing no one expected and exactly what the moment requires. Number 5. Contradictions that would break most people. Sigma males are walking contradictions, and they don't just accept that, they thrive on it. While most people struggle to keep a consistent identity, always trying to make sense to the world, Sigmas are perfectly fine being unsolvable puzzles. One day they'll cut someone off without flinching, and the next they'll go to war for someone they care about. Cold logic and deep loyalty coexisting in the same person. Most people can't compute that. Sigmas don't care. They're emotionally detached, but deeply observant. They can spend weeks off the grid, unreachable, uninterested in social connection, then suddenly show up and speak the exact truth someone needed to hear. Not because they missed anyone, not because they wanted attention, but because their intuition said it was time. Their loyalty isn't loud, it's strategic, and it never comes with an explanation. They know when to be the shadow and when to stand in the light, when to speak up and when to vanish, when to be brutally honest and when to say nothing at all. That constant shifting would drive most people insane. People want labels, introvert or extrovert, aggressive or soft, loyal or distant. Sigmas don't fit. They shapeshift based on the terrain. They're not fake, they're fluid. And this mental dissonance, it's not confusion, it's their armor. Because they understand something most people don't. If the world can't figure you out, it can't control you. If you're always predictable, you're always vulnerable. Sigmas prefer being underestimated one minute and misunderstood the next, because that's how they stay free. Nobody knows which version is showing up, and that unpredictability is power. They can feel deeply and still walk away. They can care for someone and still say no. They can stand out in a crowd without ever being seen. These paradoxes aren't flaws, they're design. They've learned to live in the gray while everyone else is stuck in the black and white, desperate to make sense. Sigma males don't need to make sense. They need to stay true, even if that truth looks like a contradiction from the outside. Number 6. The power of no reaction. Sigma males have mastered a social art that most people never even consider powerful: not reacting. While everyone else is triggered, flattered, offended, or eager to respond, Sigmas sit back and watch. Not because they're cold or detached, but because they understand something crucial. The one who reacts first is usually the one being controlled. This isn't some forced stoicism or fake indifference, it's deeper. When someone tries to provoke a Sigma, maybe insult them, challenge their authority, or test their boundaries, they don't lash out, defend themselves, or play into the script. They hold the silence. They study the energy. They let the other person burn through their performance while revealing their cards. That non-reaction makes people nervous, because we're conditioned to expect responses. When we don't get one, it feels like standing in a spotlight with no feedback, uncomfortable and disarming. Sigma males love that tension. They use it to their advantage. Whether it's someone trying to impress them, seduce them, bait them into drama, or manipulate them through guilt, they don't move. They observe, and in that stillness, the game shifts. The other person suddenly becomes aware of their own actions. They question themselves. They reveal what they were really trying to achieve. And by then, the Sigma already has the upper hand, without saying a single word. Even in heated arguments, Sigmas often stay quiet, not because they've surrendered, but because they're calculating. They don't waste emotional energy where it doesn't change the outcome. They know when silence hits harder than a comeback, and when a straight face is more intimidating than shouting. Their calm unnerves people. Their lack of response becomes a mirror that reflects the other person's insecurity. It's not emotional suppression, it's emotional precision. They respond only when it matters, and only when it serves a purpose. Everything else? Not worth their energy. In a world addicted to overreacting, oversharing, and overstimulating, Sigma males use non-reaction as a silent form of dominance. It keeps them in control, unreadable, and untouchable. And the best part, most people never even realize they lost the game, because the Sigma never bothered to play. Number 7. Double lives. Sigma males live like encrypted files. What you see is only the surface, and even that is carefully curated. Most people walk around broadcasting their lives like open books, begging to be read, liked, and validated. Sigma males are the opposite. They build layers and they protect them like a vault. There's the version you meet casually, maybe quiet, maybe polite, maybe even unremarkable. That's Act 1, safe, unthreatening, and designed to blend in. But behind that is another version. One you'll never meet unless they choose to let you in. This private version is where the real mind lives. The thinker, the strategist, the observer. This is where plans get mapped out, books are written, businesses are built, or systems are dismantled silently. It's not just privacy, it's controlled opacity. You're only allowed to see what they want you to see. And even then, it's probably outdated by the time you notice it. And beyond even that is the third layer, the hidden self, the part that doesn't even have a name. It's not about being mysterious for the sake of it. It's about protecting power. The more people know, the more predictable you become. Sigma males understand that. That's why their true ambitions, their real thoughts, and their contingency plans are kept far from the spotlight. They could be building an escape route from their entire current life, and not a single person would suspect a thing. This isn't deception, it's design. They compartmentalize their world so efficiently that even people close to them rarely know the full picture. That's why they can reinvent themselves without notice, walk away from one life into another, or operate in two entirely different worlds without ever getting caught. 1 foot in the ordinary, 1 foot in the shadows. This double life instinct isn't just about secrecy, it's about control. In a world obsessed with exposure and visibility, Sigma males are quietly building empires, ideas, and exits, while everyone else is distracted chasing likes and leaking their every move. They don't just keep secrets, they live inside them. Number 8. Finding the flaws in systems everyone trusts. Sigma males have an almost compulsive need to dissect systems other people blindly follow. It's not rebellion for attention. It's not some edgy anti-authority posture. It's instinct. While the masses take comfort in institutions, religion, government, school systems, social norms, Sigmas quietly start asking, where's the crack? Not because they want to destroy it, but because they refuse to be caught off guard when the structure starts to crumble. They can sit through a lecture, a sermon, a relationship, or a meeting and instantly detect the parts that don't add up. Not in a loud, argumentative way, but with surgical precision. They notice when the logic doesn't hold, when the agenda shifts, when the rules exist more for control than progress. And while everyone else is nodding along, convinced they're safe in numbers, the Sigma is already calculating, how do I get out of this before it traps me? It's a survival trait, intellectual self-defense. They don't trust institutions just because they've been around for a long time. They know that every system is a structure built by flawed people, and eventually, every structure becomes more about preserving itself than serving its original purpose. Most people don't want to see that. Sigmas can unsee it. And they don't always say what they find. Sometimes they just pull back. They stop investing in the system, stop depending on it, start building alternatives while no one's watching. If the school system feels like a factory, they self-educate. If politics feels like theater, they go local and stay mobile. If a relationship starts turning into emotional bureaucracy, they detach quietly, observing instead of reacting. They're not trying to be smarter than everyone. They're trying to be less trapped than everyone. They study systems the way hackers study code. Not to destroy, but to understand exactly when and how it fails. And when that failure comes, and it always does, they're already gone, already pivoted, already built something better. While others are busy pledging loyalty to things that are rotting from the inside, Sigma males are quietly charting exits, collecting leverage, and rewiring the game on their own terms. Number 9. Craving obsolete experiences. Sigma males have an unusual hunger for experiences the modern world has mostly forgotten or dismissed as outdated. While everyone else is glued to their screens, chasing the latest apps, viral challenges, or social media fame, Sigmas are quietly collecting moments that feel almost extinct. They don't do this out of nostalgia or a romanticized idea of the good old days. It's deeper than that. It's a deliberate rebellion against the constant digital hypnosis that keeps people addicted, distracted, and disconnected from reality. They love the tactile feel of a typewriter's keys clacking, not because it's inefficient, but because it forces attention, intention, and focus. Things impossible to fake in a world of endless backspaces and delete buttons. They carry analog cameras not to be hipsters, but because the process demands patience, precision, and thoughtfulness, standing in sharp contrast to the instant gratification of digital filters and likes. Handwritten letters? Forget email or text that vanish the moment they're read. Sigmas value letters because they demand commitment, the effort to write, to send, to wait. It's a quiet message in a noisy world, a way to slow down the noise and say something meaningful without screaming. Long walks with no destination aren't about exercise or Instagram photos. They're about disconnecting from schedules, algorithms, and distractions, allowing the mind to wander freely. It's a refusal to be constantly on and reachable, a reclaiming of time that no app or notification can interrupt. These obsolete experiences are like secret codes to Sigmas, ways to unplug from the matrix most people willingly plug into every day. They don't need to be trendy or popular. They need to be real and raw. In these forgotten rituals, they find clarity, creativity, and control. While the world marches toward faster, louder, and more superficial, Sigma males step back, breathe deeper, and taste something that feels rare, authentic presence. It's not just about rejecting the digital noise. It's about carving out space where their mind can actually think, create, and exist without being hijacked by endless scrolling and shallow dopamine hits. They're not stuck in the past. They're pioneers of an unplugged future. Number 10. Reading between the lies. Sigma males have an uncanny ability to listen, not just to what's being said, but to the spaces in between. They don't waste time hunting for the obvious truth in words. Instead, they focus on the unsaid, the hidden, and the deliberately avoided. While most people take things at face value, Sigmas are experts at reading the subtext, the emotional undercurrents, the hesitations, the shifts in tone that reveal far more than words ever could. When someone speaks, Sigmas don't just hear the message, they analyze how it's delivered. A slight pause, a change in pitch, a tightening of the jaw, a quick inhale, these subtle signals scream louder than the actual words. They notice the tension behind a casual compliment, or the hesitation before a supposed truth. They catch the signs of discomfort, evasion, or even deceit that others miss because they're too busy focusing on the obvious. This skill isn't about paranoia or mistrust, it's about understanding human complexity. People rarely say exactly what they mean, and often don't even realize the contradictions between their words and their feelings. Sigmas are tuned into these contradictions like a finely calibrated radar. They understand that truth lives not in what's spoken, but in what's avoided. By reading between the lies, they gain insight into motives, fears, and hidden agendas. They see when someone is trying to manipulate, hide, or protect themselves, and when someone is genuinely vulnerable or honest. This makes them incredibly hard to fool or control because they're not playing the same game everyone else is. It also means they communicate differently. They speak in layers, knowing that the surface isn't always the place to land, and because they hear what others don't, they often stay silent, watching the story unfold with a quiet understanding that others will never grasp. In a world full of noise, distractions, and half-truths, Sigma males' ability to decode subtext is a secret weapon, one that keeps them several steps ahead and nearly impossible to misread or manipulate. Number 11. Non-linear living. Sigma males refuse to live life like a factory product, moving steadily down a conveyor belt. School, job, retire, die. That path, predictable and linear, is for people content with following instructions and checking boxes. Sigmas see it for what it really is, a slow trap disguised as a roadmap. They don't just reject the conventional timeline, they rewrite it entirely. Their lives don't follow a neat straight line. Instead, they zigzag through detours, take unplanned sabbaticals, and reinvent themselves so often it would make most heads spin. They don't wait around hoping to find themselves like it's some hidden treasure waiting at the end of a journey. No, Sigmas build themselves piece by piece, like a layered puzzle constantly evolving. A Sigma might quit a promising career out of nowhere, not because they're lost, but because they see an opportunity to explore something unknown or develop a skill no one else values yet. They might vanish from social circles for months or years, using that time to experiment, reflect, and reshape their identity. This nonlinearity is a choice, a way to stay free from expectations and the slow death of routine. They understand that life isn't about following a script, but about writing new ones. And unlike most people who cling to stability like a life raft, Sigmas embrace uncertainty. They treat their life like a lab experiment, trial, error, pivot, repeat, without apologizing for the detours. This approach means their story rarely makes sense to outsiders. Friends, family, society want a clear narrative: who you are, what you do, where you're headed. Sigmas give them none of that because their lives aren't meant to be predictable or easily categorized. Their nonlinear existence is their power. It's how they stay flexible, creative, and uncatchable. They don't just adapt to change, they create change in their lives on their terms. Instead of searching for a fixed self, they keep building, layer after layer, becoming more complex, capable, and free with every step off the beaten path. Number 12. Seeing how far they can go alone. Sigma males are drawn to testing their limits in complete solitude, not out of loneliness or despair, but as a deliberate, calculated experiment. They willingly step into situations with no safety net, no cheering crowd, and zero external validation because they understand something few people grasp. Real strength isn't proven in the spotlight. It's forged in silence. They don't need an audience to tell them they're impressive. They don't chase likes, praise, or recognition. Instead, they want to see how far they can push themselves when no one's watching, when there's nothing but their own grit and willpower standing between them and the next challenge. It's raw self-reliance at its purest. This isn't about reckless risk-taking or proving something to others. It's about mastering themselves. Sigma males see the value in solitude not just as peace, but as a testing ground. When you strip away distractions and external input, you confront your true capabilities and weaknesses. It's uncomfortable and demanding, but that's the point. They want to know, how far can I go without help? How much can I endure alone? How deeply can I rely on just me? Others might panic without a safety net or crumble under pressure without backup. Sigmas use that absence as fuel. It forces them to sharpen their skills, develop resilience, and trust their judgment more deeply than anyone else ever will. The challenge isn't about winning applause, it's about winning themselves. This journey is quiet, often invisible to the outside world. No grand announcements, no social media posts, just a steady, relentless pushing of boundaries. And when they finally succeed, it's not to boast or to prove others wrong, but simply because they've proven to themselves that they can. In a world obsessed with external validation, Sigma males find power in solitude, strength in silence, and freedom in knowing they don't need anyone else to survive or thrive. They see just how far they can go alone, and that knowledge makes them unstoppable. The world rarely understands Sigma males, and maybe that's exactly how they like it. Their lives are stitched together with paradoxes, silent battles, and carefully guarded layers that most will never glimpse. They reject the ordinary and the expected, not out of rebellion for its own sake, but because they refuse to be boxed in by a world obsessed with conformity, noise, and superficial approval. What sets them apart isn't just a different way of living, it's a radical mastery of themselves and the environments they navigate. Sigmas don't chase trends, crowds, or validation. They quietly build, dismantle, and rebuild their worlds on their own terms. They embrace contradictions that would shatter most people and thrive in the tension of uncertainty where others seek comfort. They wield silence, solitude, and the power of not reacting as their sharpest weapons. Their thirst for obscure knowledge and obsolete experiences isn't a quirk. It's a form of independence, a refusal to be digitally hypnotized or intellectually dependent. Their lives are non-linear, layered, and deliberately unpredictable, shaped by a relentless drive to test their limits alone and to uncover hidden flaws in systems that others blindly trust. They wear invisibility like armor, not because they want to hide, but because they understand that true power is often invisible to the casual eye. In a world that rewards the loud and the seen, Sigmas prove that sometimes the greatest strength comes from what's left unsaid, unseen, and misunderstood. Ultimately, Sigma males teach us a profound lesson. Freedom is not found in following the crowd or conforming to expectation. It is forged in silence, contradiction, and the courage to build oneself without permission. They are the quiet architects of their own destiny, operating beyond the glare of spotlight and social scripts. And though they rarely seek recognition or applause, their influence is undeniable, because when they move, the world shifts in subtle but unstoppable ways. To truly understand Sigma males is to embrace the power of ambiguity, the value of solitude, and the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you don't have to fit anyone else's mold. They don't just live differently, they live free. And in a world desperate for authenticity, that might just be the most extraordinary thing of all. If you found this insight into the Sigma mindset as fascinating as I do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the next deep dive into unconventional wisdom. Smash the like button if you're ready to think differently and break free from the ordinary. Got your own thoughts or experiences with Sigma living? Drop a comment below. I want to hear your take, your questions, and your stories. And hey, if you know someone who needs to see this, go ahead and share it, because some ideas deserve to be passed on, quietly but powerfully. Your support means the world and helps keep this community growing.